Guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'm Richard Allen. We talk about stocks on this channel. We're going to talk about BFT, bacon for your tomatoes. Everybody loves bacon, and this stock is flying lately, and I'm really excited to talk about it again. Guys, when I released my video the other day on the 17th, the stock was still at about 15 something per share. And the title of my video, or the title of my thumbnail, it said, "This is still cheap." And I still think it's cheap, even though we're in the $18 range. I actually recorded a BFT video last night, but it was like 10 o'clock. And I was like, I'll do this tomorrow. But in that video, I talked about the idea that we'd probably see a pullback and today. And we have. It's down about 3.5%. We're going to peek at the chart here for a second. But remember, I've been talking about BFT since the very beginning, and a lot of other YouTubers that talk about BFT had pointed out that I was the first one to bring this to your guys' attention. So if you look all the way back to December 7th when this was announced, I released this information within like an hour of the SPAC merger coming out. So I've been on this stock for a very, very long time, and it's going up slower than a lot of the other SPACs because that's just the nature of this business. Now, let's jump into the stock that isn't an EV SPAC. It's something else. If you're not familiar with what BFT is merging with Paysafe. Paysafe is a fintech company similar to the likes of that of Square, PayPal, and others, okay? They have a very similar business to Square. However, we're going to dig into a couple things today that I'm really excited about going forward. Paysafe is really, really big in the iGaming space, the online gambling space. They're actually the leaders in that space. And that space is growing like crazy. So, in my mind, right, Paysafe's revenue is set to explode. Now, Paysafe actually runs about the same number of transactions from a dollar amount standpoint. Over $100 billion worth of transactions per year. That's very similar to what Square does. But Square has higher margins and is more profitable. And that's what BFT, Bill Foley's SPAC. Bill Foley is a Fidelity legend. He's a genius in the finance space. And he's started companies like this in the past. What he's going to bring to this company is increased margins, better partnerships, things like that. And that is already happening with Paysafe since this merger was announced. There's been a whole slew of different press releases and partnerships announced and things like that with Microsoft, with other companies. So this is an exciting time to be part of this company, and I still think it's cheap. I still think $18.50 for this SPAC is relatively inexpensive. We do not have a specific date yet for the merger to go through, but I can guarantee you that when I know more, I will let you guys know. But let's just jump right into the chart here. Look at this chart, guys. We got up to a high of $19.50 yesterday, which was absolutely amazing. Now, a lot of people have been holding this stock for a good amount of time, okay? Over the course of this entire month and a half, almost 2 months, right? And some people were getting impatient, which is totally fine. Some people were getting impatient with this stock, but we've seen some tremendous gains since we started talking about this company. We really, really have. And a lot of us got in that $11, $12 range. So this has been a very, very good investment for a lot of us. And a lot of people have gotten impatient. So when we see new highs like this, we have to anticipate profit taking. We have to anticipate that people are going to try to make some money on this company because there are people that are day traders and swing traders that would have potentially been holding this company for a little longer than they wanted to, and they were hoping for a pop like this. So let's. I want to jump into a cool video that some of my patron members and my Discord members found for me, and it's a fantastic video. I'm only going to play about a minute of it, but it talks about how states are strapped for cash right now. And what are they going to do, right? they're turning to things like online gambling to increase revenue that states have to deal with issues that are going on in their states right now. This year has been tough for states. It really, really has. And there are now, and I'll play this video for you in a second, but there are more states than I even thought that are getting into the iGaming space this year and that are already in. And then there's more states that have legislation coming through that will probably get passed this year. So we're going to be above 30 states soon here in the US that online gambling will be legal. And that's freaking exciting. It's really exciting for a company like Paysafe that is a leader in their space of iGaming. So let's jump right into this video here. This was on CNBC with Mr. Shepard Smith, and let's jump right into it.
They're desperate for new streams of tax revenue. It's a big reason why New York's governor has just surrendered his longtime opposition to mobile sports gambling.
We propose state-sponsored mobile sports betting to raise additional funding.
Sports betting is now legal in 25 states plus Washington, D.C. 8 states have legislation pending.
Okay, so there we go. So in green here, these are the 25 states that where online gambling, sports betting is legal. And 8 states, all the ones highlighted here, Minnesota, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kentucky, Georgia, and Alabama. Maybe. I like geography, but I probably got some of those states wrong. And then I think Delaware and Iceland over here. I'm just kidding. But there are 8 states that have legislation that will probably get passed this year. States are strapped right now. If you go back to this part here with Andrew Cuomo, you can see legalize adult use of recreational. Yeah, that's happening too. So when you look at this kind of stuff, okay, states are strapped right now. They are strapped for cash, and they're pushing this kind of legislation through because they need the money. They need the money. And we know, right, based on the last survey that Paysafe did on that Always People Play survey that they did, that 63% of people are more comfortable gambling online than they were last year. And over 60% of them say they plan to do more of it this year. Now, I have a member of my Discord that works in the gaming community, and he thinks, right, that this is going to be the eventual death of brick and mortar, of some of the brick and mortar casinos. But I think this will be a massive influx of dollars to these companies. I think it will. Now, gambling is gambling. You can feel however way you want about it, but there's a lot of money in it. There's a ton of money in it. So Paysafe is at the forefront of this. And they have some great technology backing them. And look, Paysafe is at the forefront of this iGaming, online gaming, all this kind of stuff. And there are some really, really smart people that work on the Bill Foley team, but also on the Paysafe team. And they're expanding rapidly in the U.S. market here. And they're doing some great, great things. So you guys, obviously, let me know how you're feeling. If you're holding BFT and you've been holding since like 11, 12, you probably feel fantastic right now because you're up, 60, 70%? Probably feels pretty good. But I think there's much, much more room for this to go. Now, when I first started talking about Paysafe and BFT, you can go back and check out my videos. I think this is a 10x opportunity over the long haul. I really, really do. I don't see how it's not if they do the right things. Now, just like every SPAC, we will probably see an eventual pullback with BFT / Paysafe after the merger. We just will. And you have to anticipate that, okay? But I think there's a lot more room for this to run. I think we could potentially double from here before the merger. And I think this will 10x over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. I really, really do. I think this is potentially a $90 billion company, similar to Square, once they get their margins in place, right? Once they start making more money, once they become more efficient, because they're not bringing anywhere near the amount of revenue in as Square is for the same number of transactions. But they have very similar technologies. So they need to get their overhead in check, and they need to become more efficient before they can bring in more revenue, because they're bringing in about half the revenue as Square is, maybe even a little less. I think Square is actually 1.5 times bigger in terms of revenue, which is amazing. That's amazing. But that's one of the benefits of fintech, right? Is there should be lower overhead. Another thing I talked about in the video I recorded and won't release last night was the idea that these companies are disrupting traditional banking. They just are. So the banks of the past, like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, US Bank, Chase, like all these banks, they're scared. I promise you, they're scared. And a lot of them are behind the curve on fintech. We just talked about another fintech company, IPOE, merging with SoFi. This is an exciting time for fintech, guys. Very exciting time. So you have to get companies like this on your radar. IPOE, BFT, right? IPOE popped like crazy, probably because Chamath seems to be the SPAC king right now. Everything he touches turns to gold. But you know how I feel about Chamath Palihapitiya. I think he's a brilliant investor, and he actually seems to care, right? He seems to care about what he invests in. And I think that's why people are so darn excited about companies like IPOE, Open Door, MP Materials. I mean, he's in a lot of these companies that are doing really well right now. Desktop Metals. So guys, BFT, it's going slow, but I'm not going to promise you anything because it's the freaking stock market, but I really think that there's a lot more room for this to run. And again, I've been talking about it for a long time. So guys, I appreciate you joining me for this video. You're going to see my face again. I'm actually going to give you guys an update of how my 10K to 100K journey is going. And I'm up a good amount already this month. I hit my goal for the month in 3 weeks. And I have some amazing charts that one of my patrons actually made for me that I'm excited to show you guys. So thank you so much for joining me for another video. Again, I'm Richard Allen. If you didn't already do it, click that beautiful red subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.